Have you ever noticed that some people walk into a presentation and within the first minute, you already trust them more? They have not even said that much yet. But something about the way they start makes you pay attention. They sound clearer, more grounded, more credible, more in control. And then there are other presenters who may be smart, prepared, and technically capable, but in the first minute, something feels off. They ramble, they apologize, they start too vaguely, they sound nervous, and they make the room work too hard to figure out where this is going. And the truth is, by the time that first minute is over, people have already formed an impression. That is what we're talking about today. Today's episode is about 5 presentation skills that make you stand out in the first minute. Because the first minute of a presentation does a lot of work. It shapes credibility. It sets the tone. It influences whether people lean in or mentally pull back. And if you can get that first minute right, the rest of your presentation gets easier. Before we dive in, I've included links in the description to free resources that can help you grow in your communication, leadership, and confidence at work. And if you want more practical support, I've also included my new book, Say It So It Lands, the communication code for being heard, understood, and taken seriously at work, available now on Amazon. Now let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Work Chat, where we help you navigate the modern workplace with more clarity, confidence, and influence. And today, we're talking about presentation skills. More specifically, what separates people who are instantly credible from people who lose the room before they really get started. Because standing out in the first minute is not about being flashy. It is not about having the best slides. It is not about having the loudest personality. It is about knowing how to create clarity, confidence, and trust right away. So let's talk about the 5 skills that matter most. First, lead with the point, not the setup. This is probably the biggest one. A lot of presenters spend the first minute warming up instead of leading. They say things like, "I just wanted to walk through a few things today." So basically what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give a little background first. And the problem is not that these phrases are wrong. The problem is that they are weak. They delay the point. Strong presenters do something different. They get to the point early. They say the main takeaway is, what I want to focus on today is, the recommendation is, the issue we need to solve is. That kind of opening instantly sounds more strategic and more confident because it tells the room, I know where I'm going and I'm not going to make you wait for it. The first minute should reduce uncertainty, not increase it. So if you want to stand out fast, stop easing into your point so slowly that the room has to guess why they are listening. Second, sound settled before you sound smart. A lot of people think the goal in the first minute is to prove they are intelligent. But actually, the first thing people are usually reading is not your intelligence. It is your steadiness. Do you sound grounded? Do you sound calm? Do you sound like you believe your own message? Do you sound like someone who can hold the room? This is why sounding settled matters so much. Because if you come in rushing, apologizing, speaking too fast, or over-explaining immediately, the room feels your nervousness before it even fully hears your point. That does not mean you need to be robotic or overly polished. It means you need to come in with enough steadiness that people can relax into listening to you. This can be as simple as taking one breath before you begin, slowing your first few sentences down, pausing after your opening line instead of rushing into the next one, or not cluttering your introduction with filler words. Strong presenters understand that calm is persuasive, and in the first minute, your pace and tone often communicate more than your content does. Third, frame why it matters early. Another thing that makes presenters stand out quickly is that they do not just tell you what they are presenting. They tell you why it matters. That is a huge difference. Weak opening is something like, today I'm going to walk through the status of the project. A much stronger opening is, today I'm going to walk through the status of the project because there are 2 decisions we need to make this week that will affect timing and cost. Do you hear the difference? The second version gives the room a reason to care. And that is what strong communicators do in the first minute. They connect the topic to impact. They help people understand. Why are we talking about this? Why should I pay attention? What is the relevance? What decision, risk, opportunity, or consequence is attached to this? When you do that early, you sound more thoughtful and more strategic. Because now you are not just presenting information, you are framing significance, and people remember presenters who help them understand why something matters. Fourth, cut the unnecessary disclaimers. This one quietly weakens a lot of otherwise capable professionals. They start with, "I didn't have as much time as I wanted. This may not be fully polished yet. I'm still thinking this through. This might not make sense, but..." These kinds of disclaimers are usually attempts to protect yourself. They are a way of lowering expectations before anyone else can judge you. But the effect is almost always the opposite of what you want. Instead of making you seem humble, they often make you seem less prepared, less confident, or less credible before you have even made your first real point. Now, to be clear, there are times when context matters. There are moments where you need to name uncertainty honestly. But unnecessary disclaimers in the first minute are usually not helping you. Strong presenters do not spend their opening weakening their own authority. They let the content speak. They start clearly. They sound clean. They avoid undercutting themselves before they have even begun. So if you want to stand out in the first minute, stop talking against your own message. Finally, make the room feel guided. This is the skill that ties everything together. The best presenters make the room feel guided from the start. The audience feels like, this person knows where we're going. This is organized. I know what matters. I can trust the structure. That feeling is powerful. And it does not require a big performance. It just requires intentional framing. That can sound like, there are 3 things I want to focus on. I'll start with the issue, then the recommendation, then the next step. Let me give you the short version first. There are 2 decisions we need to make today. That kind of language makes people feel oriented, and orientation matters a lot in the first minute because people do not want to work that hard to follow you. When the room feels guided, your credibility goes up. When the room feels lost, your credibility drops, even if your content is good. That is why strong presenters are not just speaking, they are guiding attention, and that is one of the fastest ways to stand out. Now, when you step back, what do all 5 of these skills have in common? They reduce friction. That is really the point. They help the audience trust you faster. They help the room understand you faster. They make your message easier to receive. They remove the little things that quietly weaken first impressions. And that matters because the first minute of a presentation is not just an introduction. It is a signal. It tells people whether you are clear or scattered, whether you are grounded or rushed, whether you are making them work too hard or making it easy to follow, whether you sound like someone who is ready to lead the room. That is why the first minute matters so much. So if you want to stand out in the first minute of any presentation, here is the real takeaway. Lead with the point, not the setup. Sound settled before you try to sound smart. Explain why it matters early. Cut the unnecessary disclaimers and make the room feel guided from the beginning. Those 5 things will immediately make you sound more confident, more strategic, and more credible. And the good news is, none of them require a totally different personality. They just require a different level of intention. Because standing out in a presentation is not about being the most naturally charismatic person in the room. It is about making people feel, in that first minute, that they can trust where you are taking them. That is what strong presenters do. That's a wrap for this episode. If you want more practical support, I've included links in the description to free resources on the website, along with my new book, Say It So It Lands, the communication code for being heard, understood, and taken seriously at work, available now on Amazon. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to the Work Chat for more practical conversations on workplace communication, leadership, confidence, and navigating the modern world of work. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What do you think makes someone stand out in the first minute of a presentation? I'll see you in the next episode.